Hello, this is Kevin Martin again from Piece of the Past. We're still in the middle of our series here talking about what's my autograph worth and how to value your autograph. So today we're going to talk about inscriptions. I get asked this question all the time. Hey, Tom Cruise wrote my name to Johnny. That's an inscription, also called a personalization. On the photo or the slip of paper, does that hurt the value? The answer in that instance would be yes. Here's the rule of thumb for you to go by. It doesn't always hurt the value. In fact, in vintage pieces, it rarely hurts the value. Back in the day, in the 50s, 60s, whenever, the people were going up to stars, they were doing it for the thrill that they met the star. And so the star often put their name, and they often asked for their name because they weren't selling it on eBay later. There was no value to it. In fact, when we started this company in the early 80s, very early 80s, we set a record for a Marilyn Monroe photo at auction. It was $400. Our last one was over $8,000. A lot's changed in 41 years of doing this. So we become a celebrity-obsessed culture, and entertainment started to get very collected. Prior to that, autographs was mainly about historical figures, collecting presidents and authors and letters and documents and things like that. It's only gotten into, Al Pacino, Scarface, say hello to my little friend photos in the last 10 to 20 years. So here's the rule of thumb that you should use. If the item you're looking for is readily available on the market without an inscription, like Tom Cruise is, then an inscription hurts the value. How much? Approximately 25%. Could hurt it more, certainly hurts the sellability, how easy it would sell as well. If it is not, then it doesn't hurt the value. And again, this tends to be, not always, but tends to be more vintage pieces. In fact, from a standpoint of authentication, it's good to see more handwriting on a Marilyn Monroe. She did sign sometimes just Marilyn Monroe. She was in a hurry. But more often than not, it would be inscribed. And it's actually more suspicious to see something vintage like that without an inscription on it. But you do have people like Bob Dylan, that is so rare that as an inscription or not an inscription, Bob Marley, same thing, doesn't affect the value. So whether it is or isn't. But someone like Robert De Niro, who for a while was so rare that they were inscribed when you saw them, now he's done private signings. So you can buy beautiful shots that are not inscribed. So the inscription now hurts the value of a Robert De Niro. So that's what you're looking at on whether it hurts the value and by how much it hurts the value. And in the coming episodes, we're going to talk about content and a lot of other things that affect the value of their signature. But hopefully that answers the question about whether inscriptions hurt the signature or not. By the way, stars know that nowadays these runners and graphers out on the streets tend to be dealers and sell their things. So they're starting to get wise to that and either not sign at all or will ask for the person's name to get them to sign the name because they know that hurts the value and they think it's less likely to sell. What they don't realize is on a glossy photo using a Sharpie, there are ways that people have learned over the years to remove the inscription. Does removing the inscription hurt the value? Well, that's a very simple one to answer. It does if you can tell the inscription's been removed. If it's done clean enough and you can't tell, well, then obviously no harm, no foul. What you don't know won't hurt you, right? But people have taken this to an extreme. Shirley Temple, for example, signed her married name for decades in the mail, Shirley Temple Black. So people would take these marker signatures and remove black, but they weren't fooling anybody. Everybody knew she wasn't signing Shirley Temple. So in that case, it kind of backfired on them and kind of hurt the value because they tampered with the original signature. So you want to leave it alone. But if it's inscribed and it's modern, that tends to be the rule of thumb, or they're readily available uninscribed, that hurts the value. If not, it doesn't, as in the case of, say, the Beatles or James Dean or Marilyn Monroe and the more vintage signatures. That's kind of the rule on inscriptions. Until next time, happy collecting, everybody.